Does it remain contained to the Israelis and the Palestinians? I just wonder how much of a priority this is for other Arabs in the region. I mean, we've already seen protests now popping up in Jordan. My mind goes to the Abraham Accords, the sort of normalization agreements between Israel and other Middle Eastern nations, the UAE, Sudan, for example. How does this play into that, if at all?
Well, there are two different questions. I do think it is a priority for Arabs in the region, and you will see demonstrations and protests on the street. But that does not mean that it is a priority for the governments of the region. It is not. Despite the fact that the Iranians have been engaged in significant support for organizations like Hamas, Saudi Arabia and Iran are now engaging in direct conversations to try to broker some kind of rapprochement between them. The Emirates have certainly condemned the violence, and they've asked for the Israelis to stand down. But this has in no way threatened the Abraham Accords that have brokered direct diplomatic engagement, a creation of relations between Israel and the UAE, Israel and Morocco, Israel and Bahrain, and closer relations with the Saudis. Those things are all true. As well as for the Biden administration, I would say the prioritization of Israel and Palestine, which, of course, when Biden was vice president, then Secretary of State Kerry spent his first year and a half. Israel-Palestine was the absolute top priority for the Secretary of State when Biden was vice president. It's nowhere close to that right now. It's not for the Americans. It's not for most of the countries in the Middle East. And that, of course, puts the Palestinians in a dramatically more difficult position.